Hey everyone, Gil at CloseCallSports.com. Remember this play from a few days ago, Rule 601A5? The just retired batter impeding the catcher, or did he? Well, how about this play?
Pop flies today. And a bunt caught by the catcher. And so Johnson will be out. And so Johnson was hit in the back with the throw down to first base, and they're discussing, was that player interference? And we'll get their conversation.
Okay, let's do a rules review. The batter, after being declared out, may not interfere with a defensive player. It's not a batter because it's a batter runner that's retired. Interference is an act that denies a defensive player a reasonable opportunity to make a play anywhere on the playing field. Remember the phrase reasonable opportunity? The batter runner may not interfere with the fielder's attempt to throw or receive a thrown ball. It's not going to be the thrower, it's the receiver that the interference is on here, if there is interference. The base runner may not interfere with the fielder attempting to throw the ball. We don't have that because it's not the thrower, it's the receiver. A runner hit with a thrown ball does not necessarily constitute interference. Note that. But this is a retired member of the team, which means an offensive player who no longer has status may not interfere with a defensive player making a play on an active runner. Making a play could be either the catcher or the fielder receiving the throw at first base, so stick a pin in that one. The batter runner may not intentionally interfere with a thrown ball while out of the batter's box, and I included that just to illustrate that there is a note. A batter runner being hit with a thrown ball does not necessarily constitute interference. But then again, this is a retired member or a member without status. I wish that the OBR rule 601A5 comment, if the batter or a runner continues to advance or returns their attempts to return to their last legally touched base after they have been put out, they shall not be by that act alone be considered as confusing, hindering, or impeding fielders. If this was professional baseball with that rule, that comment, this would not be interference. No way, no how. Softball umpires, I need your help. Is this interference? Are we expecting retired batter runners to disappear as soon as they are put out? A la the 2013 World Series with, I think it was Middlebrooks at third base that obstructed the runner, and Jim Joyce and Dana DeMuth called it at the same time, and that's how the game ended. Is that the standard that we're going with here in softball, or am I completely wrong and this was not interference at all? Because I actually do not know how softball interprets this play. All I can say is if this was a professional baseball play, it would not be interference. But let's see how this plays out here.
And Ryan was just told she is out. And let's see how Johnson is doing down on first base, or on the way to first base.
So the ball pops up.
She's out.
She's standing on the chalk line, so she's in the baseline. I suppose, you're supposed to run down, give the catcher a clear look going to first base, but she was right on the chalk line, so not sure of the full rule on that, but I would have to say I believe that Coach Calvert maybe has a good argument.
I mean, certainly the ball did hit the runner Johnson. There's no question about that. The question would be, was there anything Johnson really could have done with the situation differently? She stopped. She stood there. But, boy, as a runner, if you run to the left, that's the wrong thing to do. If you run to the right, it could be the wrong thing to do.
She was,
That's a hard spot for a runner to be in.
Yeah, and she was making sure, she made contact, knew she had popped the ball up, so she was watching to see if it was going to be caught or not. And so had only taken a few steps, but that would be probably the normal path that she would take if the ball was put down on the ground.
And so I think I heard over the wire that the umpires said they are currently going to review the rule book to see how should that situation be handled.
So the crew is going to check the rules. OBR's general instructions, not softball but baseball, tells the umpires it's better to consult the rules and hold up the game 10 minutes to decide a naughty problem than to inadvertently misapply the rules. So that's great, except that the next sentence states keep the game moving, so OBR is confusing again. What a surprise. But watch the batter runner here. Pops up the bunt and then turns around defeated. Doesn't even see the balls coming into her back, and the catcher saying, what? This isn't a runner's lane interference play where you hit the person in the back. The batter runner here, the retired batter runner, did not even get to the lane and was standing on the chalk line when hit. So I'm going to be extraordinarily curious to see how softball ends up deciding this rule.
But then the question is, should Ryan be out?
Or would it be a dead ball?
And
as
she
soon
has
as
to
it
go
hits
back to
Ryan,
first.
or as soon as it hits Johnson, is it a
Should-
dead ball?
and she
You're
should go
unable
back
to
first.
advance,
Yes,
and you're
I
back
mean-
at first base.
I would think that would be more favorable to Coach Calvert rather than having 2 outs.
Definitely. Well, we can see Chelsea Clark reviewing the rule book.
Okay, so if we do treat it as an interference by retired member of the offense situation, we need to look at the penalty. The ball is dead and the runner closest to home plate at the time of the interference shall be declared out.
We want to get the right
But again, the key phrase here is this actually interference? Did it deprive the defense of a reasonable opportunity to play? And I remember when we did the Pittsburgh-Chicago video, not that long ago, just a few days ago before this one, there were some people that said, well, under the standard where you think that Hayward interfered by stepping across home plate, any batter who just strikes out, who gets hit by a ball, even if they stay in the box, can be guilty of interference. And so the question is, where do you draw the line? In this play, you have an offensive player who's just leaving the box and really can't do anything because they just get put out, and she's standing still, gets hit with the ball. Is that interference? Do we expect her to get out of the way? I don't know the softball rule, again, as well as I do the baseball, but in baseball, there's an actual note that says it's not interference. In softball, we have to go to the rules, and as you're going to see, the umpires will do more than just go to the rule book on this.
All right. Oh, God,
And we
now it
appear
looks
to
like
be
they're going to
having
make
a
a phone
ruling.
call.
Oh, boy. Thank heavens for cell phones, right?
Oh, we are making a phone call. This is interesting.
So where would they go to get a review? Is there a national... Obviously, this game is not being reviewed by an umpiring crew externally. Would this go to the league? Would this go to an umpire-in-chief? What kind of approach do you think they would take here?
I'm not sure who they would be calling, if there's a head of officials within the valley, so that might be who they're making the call to. Rich Calvert is protesting the call, and so we keep getting information sent to us as they know it in the press box. We are getting it sent to us, and so I would assume just like there's an official head of officials in basketball, there's got to be an official head of officials for softball, and I'm assuming that's maybe the call that they're making right now.
Calling someone off the field used to be completely unheard of, and then replay review happened in Major League Baseball, and anytime they have a rules check or a weird situation, they call New York. So it sort of normalizes it, and it's like, oh, I can do that too. Even though we don't have New York of someone who's actually watching the game, we also can call people. It depends on what your conference or your league's rules are, but hey, maybe they're allowed to do it.
And now the umpiring crew conferring with Coach Calvert and the phone.
I've never heard of allowing a coach to talk to the rules interpreter or whomever they're calling before either, but it looks like they have a ruling and it's going to be a double play.
On their years of experience on the field, in the classroom, but this is a little unprecedented.
So, as Speed Racer drives that SUV onto the field, it looks like the umpire's letting the coach speak with the supervisor, the rules interpreter, whoever it is, and it actually could be game management-wise. It takes the focus off of the on-field crew. This double play the coach is not happy with, but now it's not the on-field people that are deciding. It's someone off the field, their supervisor, their whoever it is. It's someone in management. Nonetheless, if this is baseball, I don't see this being a double play, but softball might be a different ball game. What do you think? Do you think that this should be a double play interference in addition to the out? Do you think it should be a dead ball, runner return to first base? Or do you think that this should be a no call and the runner is safely aboard at second with the batter out? Visit us online at closecallsports.com, Twitter and Facebook at Close Call Sports. Thanks for sending this in. We'll see you on the site.
Part of that chalk line, I think that she would have been in the way either way.